The shiny headquarters of Tech Vision Solutions was full of energy. Investors and reporters packed the main conference room, eager to see what people were calling the biggest tech IPO of the year. I adjusted my glasses and quietly took a seat at the back, blending into the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen," the investment banker announced, "please welcome Tech Vision's founder and CEO, Jack Porter." My ex-husband walked onto the stage with confidence. In his expensive suit and perfectly styled hair, he looked like the picture of success. The audience clapped loudly. "My name is Olivia Chen, and 5 years ago, Jack Porter stole my idea. Tech Vision's new security system," Jack said smoothly, "will change the way we protect sensitive data. Our advanced technology can predict cyber attacks before they happen." I glanced at my tablet, checking my email. 3:45 p.m. In 15 minutes, everything would change. The journey wasn't easy. Jack continued, flipping through slides. "When I first came up with this idea, people said it was impossible. But with hard work and many sleepless nights, we made it happen." I almost laughed. Those sleepless nights had been mine, staring at my laptop coding while Jack told me I was wasting my time. "No one's going to buy security software from a woman," he had said. Back then, I was working as a cybersecurity analyst while developing my own AI-driven security system. Jack wasn't working. He was living off my paycheck while making connections in the tech world. "Our technology is unique," Jack said. "It doesn't just react to cyber threats, it learns and adapts." My technology, the one I had spent years creating, the one that vanished from my laptop the day after Jack moved out. He had offered to check my computer before he left. I refused, but I had already suspected something: the late-night calls, his sudden interest in my work, the way he asked specific questions about my system. So I took precautions. "Tech Vision's technology is protected by patents," Jack continued, showing a slide with patent numbers. "Our intellectual property is secure." I checked my phone. 3:55 p.m. In 5 minutes, my lawyer would be sending some important documents to the SEC and Patent Office. Jack was still talking about future plans when the door opened. A serious-looking man entered and whispered something to the investment banker. The banker's face turned pale. "Mr. Porter," he said nervously, "we need to stop the presentation. There's been a development." Jack frowned. "It can wait. We're in the middle of." "Sir," the man interrupted, "the SEC just received a patent challenge. The IPO is on hold while they investigate." The room filled with whispers. Investors checked their phones. Reporters started typing frantically, and I smiled. "That's impossible," Jack shouted. "Our patents are solid. Who's challenging them?" That was my moment. I stood up and took off my glasses. "I am." Jack's face went from confused to shocked to pale when he recognized me. What are you doing here?" he stammered. "Hello, Jack," I said, my voice steady. "It's been a while." I walked to the front of the room and held up my tablet. 5 years to be exact. Since the day you left, with a copy of my work and a dream of becoming a tech CEO. "This is nonsense," he snapped. "Security, get her out of here." "I wouldn't do that," I said calmly, "unless you want to explain why you're trying to silence the real creator of your core technology." I connected my tablet to the presentation screen. The room fell silent as documents appeared. Patent filings dated years before Tech Vision's code, development logs, and most damaging of all, emails from Jack himself, discussing how to steal and reuse my work. "You see," I continued, "while you were busy filing patents on stolen technology, I was keeping records. Every test, every line of code, all time-stamped. And now, just as you're about to profit off my work, the truth is finally coming out." Jack's face turned red. "You're lying. I developed this technology myself." "That's what you told everyone," I said. "But the evidence says otherwise. Would you like me to explain the code, the neural network structure? Because I can you?" The investment banker was reading something on his phone. His expression darkened. "Mr. Porter," he said, looking up, "the SEC is reviewing these documents. They appear to be legitimate." "Of course they're legitimate," I said. "Just like the cease and desist order your lawyers should be receiving right about now." Right on cue, Jack's phone buzzed. He checked it, and I saw the moment he realized he had lost. But I wasn't finished. For the next hour, I walked the audience through my evidence. Investors whispered to each other. Reporters took notes. Jack's carefully built image was crumbling. The neural network system, I explained, pulling up my original code, was designed to predict cyber attacks. Each layer learns from past threats. An investor leaned forward. This is almost identical to Tech Vision's system. Not almost, I corrected. It's exactly the same. Jack didn't even bother changing my variable names. Jack had been quiet, but now he snapped. This proves nothing. I-security isn't a new idea. Then explain it, I said. Explain the encryption method I created. Explain why I used a modified sigmoid function for activation. He opened his mouth but said nothing. The room waited. That's proprietary information, he finally blurted. Actually, I said, showing another document, it's all in my original patent, filed 3 years before TechVision even existed. The investment banker and his legal team were whispering urgently. One of them walked over to Jack and spoke in a low voice. This is a scam, Jack suddenly shouted. She's my ex-wife, bitter about our divorce, trying to get money. But the damage was done. Everyone in the room knew the truth. I held up my hand. Let me stop you right there, Jack. This isn't about money. It's about the truth. About giving credit where it's due. I turned to face the room. 5 years ago, this man stole my work, my dream, and used it to build his success. Today, I'm taking it back. Jack laughed, but his voice shook with panic. You can't just walk in here and... Actually, I can, I cut in, nodding toward my lawyer, who had just entered. The patent office has already started an investigation. The SEC is stopping the IPO while they review the case. And most importantly, I pause, letting the moment sink in. I now own the majority of Tech Vision Solutions. The room exploded in shock. Jack's face drained of color. That's impossible, he whispered. The majority shares belong to venture capital firms. They did, I corrected. Until this morning when Quantum Ventures bought them. Do you know who owns Quantum Ventures, Jack? I didn't wait for his answer. I pulled up the final document, incorporation papers listing me as the sole owner of Quantum Ventures, the firm that had just taken control of Tech Vision. While you were busy pretending to be a tech CEO, I said I was building my own company, a venture capital firm focused on cybersecurity startups. We've been buying shares in Tech Vision for a year, waiting for this moment. The investment banker stepped forward, looking serious. Mr. Porter, given these developments, we have to suspend the IPO. The SEC will need to. This is a setup, Jack shouted. A trick. You can't just walk in and ruin everything I built. I tilted my head. Everything you built? Let's talk about that. A company built on stolen technology, a reputation built on lies. And now, I smiled. It's all falling apart. The next few weeks were filled with legal battles, news headlines, and company changes. Tech Vision's board held an emergency meeting, and with all the evidence against him, they voted to remove Jack as CEO. Now, I sat in Jack's former office, now mine, going through my original code. He had made some changes over the years, but they were just small tweaks, like painting over a stolen car. Miss Chen, my assistant, peeked in. Jack's lawyers are here. They have a proposal. I nodded. Send them in. 2 lawyers in expensive suits walked in, looking uneasy. I recognized them from my divorce 5 years ago. They had been just as smug back then. Mrs. Porter, one began. Miss Chen, I corrected. What do you want? They exchanged glances before the older one spoke. Our client is willing to offer a generous settlement if you drop the patent case and sign an NDA about the technology's origins. He's offering $20 million. I actually laughed. $20 million. For technology worth billions, that protects Fortune 500 companies. $30 million, the younger one added quickly. Plus, a public statement acknowledging your contributions. I stood up and looked out the window at the city below. Let's be clear, this isn't about money. It's about justice. Your client didn't just steal my code. He tried to erase me from my own creation's history. Miss Chen, the older lawyer said carefully, legal battles can take years. The bad publicity could hurt the company's value. The company's already damaged, I said, turning back to them. Because it was built on lies. But I'm going to fix that, starting today. I folded my arms. Here's my offer. Jack publicly admits he stole my work. resigns from the board, and gives up all his remaining shares. Those shares will go into a foundation I'm creating to support women in tech. In return, I won't press charges for intellectual property theft. The lawyer stared at me, clearly not expecting this. That's everything he has left, the younger lawyer said. No, I replied. He had a chance to do the right thing, to build something real. Instead, he chose to steal and lie. Now he has to face the consequences. After they left, I called a company-wide meeting. The employees deserved to hear the truth from me. Standing on the same stage where Jack had tried to launch his IPO, I looked at the crowd of anxious faces. Tech Vision isn't shutting down, I said. The technology works. I should know because I created it. But from now on, we're going to build this company on honesty and real innovation, not stolen ideas. I showed them slides of my original work, how the technology had evolved, and my plan for the future. I know some of you are worried about your jobs, I continued. Let me make it simple. If you're here to innovate and make cybersecurity stronger, you have a place in this company. But if you were here just for the money Jack promised from stolen work, there's the door. Over the next few months, we transformed Tech Vision. I brought in my team, promoted talented employees who had been overlooked, and focused on real innovation. The press followed every step. Tech's greatest theft exposed. One headline read, "Woman takes back stolen invention," said another. I did a few interviews, not to brag, but to send a message to other women in tech. Don't let anyone steal your work. A year later, we had our own IPO. The newly renamed Chen Security Solutions was valued at 3 times what Tech Vision had been. More importantly, we built something real. As for Jack, the last I heard, he was trying to start another company, but investors didn't trust him. A reputation for stealing ideas wasn't great for business. The day after our IPO, I got a package. Inside was my old laptop, the one that had mysteriously crashed 5 years ago. There was a note in Jack's handwriting. "You were right. I was wrong. I'm sorry." I plugged it in. The hard drive had been wiped. It didn't matter. The truth had already come out, and I had built something far better than he ever could. That night, I sat in my office, looking at an old photo of me at my first hackathon, proud of the code I had written. I wish I could tell my younger self that everything would turn out even better than she imagined. My phone buzzed. A message from my head of development. "The quantum encryption upgrade is ready. Want to check it out?" I smiled and grabbed my laptop. On my way. This was what real innovation felt like. No stolen ideas, no lies, just a team working together to change the future of cybersecurity. And the best part, I was no longer in anyone's shadow. The story of how Jack Porter stole my technology would always be part of my past. But it wasn't my future. My future was in the code I was writing, the innovations we were building, and the example we were setting for the next generation of women in tech. Sometimes you have to lose everything to gain something greater. Sometimes having your dreams stolen teaches you how to rebuild them even stronger. And in the end, justice isn't about revenge. It's about the truth finally being heard.